Hi there, and welcome back to the Catherine James Show, where we come together to upscale our thinking, up-level our game, and learn to move from stuck to sensational. Here we deal with all aspects of life, and this week I want to talk to you about acknowledging the all-star within. We've all heard the term all-star, and you yourself may have one day or in the past been deemed an all-star. Perhaps you're like me, who found yourself the proud parent of a child who was picked to play on an all-star team. I remember years ago when my son was picked to play on the all-star team, I was so excited and happy for him. But to the contrary, I also could not help but wonder about the children who had not been picked. I couldn't help but wonder if they in fact believed that they were not all-stars simply because they had not been picked. As I bring you this message at the close of the NBA All-Star Weekend, my mind goes back to that question, and I wonder about those players who were not picked to play on the All-Star team or in the All-Star activities. Is it possible that they somehow believe they are not in fact all-stars simply because they were not chosen? If an all-star is someone who plays at a high level of performance in a given field, then I would say they are all all-stars. I would say you are an all-star. You see, if you show up in this game of life every day, day in and day out, giving your all, playing at 100%, doing the best that you can with the information that you have, then you in fact are an all-star in the field of you. Now, unfortunately, many don't acknowledge themselves as all-stars. And it's perhaps because we've been led to believe we have to be picked. Or it's because we compare our performance to that of other people. And when our performance don't match up, we feel that we're less than. You see, it was Thomas Fuller who said that comparison, more so than reality, will either make a man happy or make a man wretched. I say to you, compare yourself to no one. Do not allow anyone or sit back and wait for anyone to acknowledge you or to deem you an all-star. Acknowledge yourself. Deem yourself an all-star. You see, only you know if you show up giving this game of life 100% day in and day out. Only you know if you bring your A game day in and day out. Only you can determine the criteria you need or the skills you need to be deemed an all-star on your team of you. So, how do you acknowledge the all-star within? As I watched the game, I took away a few pointers that I'd like to share with you. The first is, I believe as the coaches or the team captains pick the teams, they first reviewed the stats of the players. They reviewed the stats to determine how the players would be an asset to the team. So I want to say to you, review your stats. Look over the past year in your life. Determine, what did you accomplish? What did you complete? What worked for you? What did not work? What do you need to add to your game of life so that you can show up as an all-star? The second thing that I noticed is the winning team, immediately after the game was over, they began to celebrate. So the second thing I say to you is to celebrate your wins, the big wins, the small wins, all wins. Celebrate. You see, I know that I'm guilty of failing to celebrate wins. Sometimes you move right past your accomplishments because you're on to the next thing. But I want to encourage you to take the time to celebrate. Take the time to share with a friend. Purchase something for yourself that maybe you've been desirous of for a long period of time. Take a moment to just relax and bask and take it all in and be grateful for your wins. The last thing I say to you is simply acknowledge yourself. Again, don't wait for anyone else to tell you that you've done a good job. Tell yourself you've done a good job. Pat yourself on the back. Know that you are the all-star of your team called you. So a quick recap, how do we acknowledge the all-star within? First, you want to review your stats. Second, you want to celebrate your wins. Third, you want to acknowledge yourself. As I bring this message to a close this week, I leave you once again with my favorite quote that simply says, "In this life, we get to choose, so choose to live an amazing life." See you next week.